everybody. So this is Leigh Daniel, and this is not legal advice, practical advice before, during, and after the divorce. And today we have a very special guest. But I'm first going to let Allison introduce yourself. Allison is my co-host. Allison, tell everybody who you are, and then we'll go straight to Claire.
Hi everyone, I am Ali Reiner, and I'm a Loved Again coach. I work with women who are in unhappy relationships, and I help them understand whether they want to remain in the relationship or they want to leave. And that work involves being loved again, but loving yourself again, not loving your partner, not being loved by your partner. It starts with you and ends with you. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. We'll talk more as we go on, but I'm really excited to meet Claire.
Claire, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone, so I'm Claire McPherson and I'm an Own It Now coach. So I work with women around their mindset and business alignment. But recently, a whole new conversation opened up around owning it in terms of your body, your sexuality, your femininity, because it has a huge impact on how we run our businesses, how we look after our money, how we feel on a day-to-day basis. So I believe that it should start being part of that conversation when it comes to owning it, owning who we are.
And it really is part of everything, isn't it? I mean, I recently was working with somebody on my money, and she said, well, once you get this accomplished, then you'll have a relationship. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense, but it actually works. I mean, because there are so many things are tied in together, right? And so when I met Claire, well, I met Claire earlier, but when I spent some time with Claire, she has such an ease about her, and she taught us how to do a lap dance. And we were all so uncomfortable. First of all, I'm not a great dancer, but I mean, just the idea of allowing yourself to feel sexy is something that I think is really super difficult. And because I deal with people in the divorce arena so many times, it's been years, sometimes decades since they felt sexy or since they felt conscious of their body, Yeah. And so I think this is such a relevant topic for us. And what do you think, Allison? What are your clients? I mean, how does that figure into their conversation?
Well, one of the big things that goes immediately is, when the connection starts to go, the communication starts to go, one of the big things is the desire, because as women really need that intimacy, that sense of, connection before we want to have sex. And often that's the thing that goes. And the longer it's disappeared for, the longer it's not part of your life, the more difficult it is to be in touch with your own body. So it's a huge problem, whether you're looking to stay in a marriage or whether you're looking to regain that confidence to take yourself into the world after a divorce. It's a huge topic. And, not just people that are in unhappy marriages, but, myself as a wife, as a mother, as somebody that works hard, I lost who I was. I lost that contact with myself. And I heard Claire speaking in one of her earlier broadcasts about exactly that thing. And how do we get in touch with ourselves again? So huge, it's a big topic.
Yeah, and so Claire, what do you think about that? I mean, I know that you probably see and experience through business or otherwise people who are not in touch with their physicality. What are some of the first steps that you can take to get back in touch with yourself? Yeah.
Well, I think firstly, it's so understandable how we lose touch, right? Because we get really busy, we're in long-term relationships or relationships that aren't working as well as we want them to be. And so we pull get back and we get in the business of life. And within that, we lose that connection with ourselves, with our sexuality, with just feeling really good and powerful and confident. And so I think, firstly, it's a mindset, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or not. And I think it starts with yourself. So I think actually reconnecting with your sexual energy, with your sexual power and enjoying that side of it again, I think actually starts at home by yourself. And I think it's actually about rediscovering you and learning to have fun with yourself without feeling embarrassed about it, without worrying that you shouldn't be doing it or it's wrong or any of the old baggage that people carry around sometimes. I think that's where it starts, because feeling sexy is a mindset and it's internal, it's not external. But what people do all the time is they get stuck in this story of, I'll feel sexy when. So I'll feel sexy when I lose however much weight. I'll feel sexy when I go and spend money on a new dress whatever. I'll feel sexy when I go and get Botox or whatever it might be, right? But and people play out those stories in all different parts of their life. It's the whole, I'll feel sexy when, or I'll do this when. But it's actually no, like that's absolute rubbish. It's about like reclaiming it now. You don't actually need anything externally to feel sexy. Feeling sexy is a mindset, and you can have it right now. And it's just about what you focus on in terms of your body, what you're focusing on in terms of your self-talk and what you're saying to yourself, what you focus on in terms of, you know, how you walk into a room, how you dress your body. All of that starts inside, not outside.
When you were reading off that list, I was thinking, yep. The first thing I was thinking about was when I lose 20 pounds. Next thing I was thinking about when I have a lover. Next thing I was thinking about was when I look Botox. When I have Botox, I look horrible. Yeah, I totally. I mean, that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's such a list of when this happens, I'll feel sexy, or I'll, you know, and sometimes because the list is so long, you think I've dealt with, I've told my friend Tiffany this so many times, I'm never going to feel this way again, you know?
Yeah.
And I think lots of people do think that, and why it's so valuable to have somebody like Claire who wants to teach us that we can still feel sexy, you know, no matter how long it's been.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things around it all is having fun with it. Like, it's not something to take really seriously. It's not something that we need to get all worried and frustrated about. It's actually something that we should be having fun with, and it should be light, and it should be easy, and it should be effortless, and it should be like, hey, yeah, what if I did that? And what if we tried that? And how might that feel? And rather than, oh gosh, I've got to get this right, or what if I look like an idiot, or what will people think? It's actually just turning it into that game and allowing it to be light, because when we get in that space, then we can experiment, and that's when the fun starts happening, right?
I'm getting very excited, ladies. What do you think about that, Allison? I mean,
I love it.
How difficult is it to, I mean, when you talk to the people that are in the stuck marriages, to get them into a space of, you know, try this, something new, try to do this so you'll feel better about yourself. I mean, how would they even start that?
Yeah, and it goes back, you know, whenever anyone talks, for me, the big flashing light is self-love, self-love, self-love. And that's it. But when you make it fun, and you know, you've been in that place where you wake up and you're in a good mood and you put your lipstick on, a bit like me today, and you find that when you open the front door, you're strutting down the street. You know, some days you're walking, you're curled up, you're sort of huddled over, but other days you walk down the street and you feel like you're strutting, or you're listening to good music, or you've got a song in your head, and you're aware suddenly that people are looking at you, and not just men. You know, it's not, when we're talking about sexual energy or sexuality, it's not just about being attractive to men, it's just being an attractive person,
right.
Personality. You attract other people to you because of the way that you carry yourself. And it's, you know, and it is just playing with it. It's as soon as Claire said fun, my ears pricked up. I'm all about having fun. And that's one of the small places that you can start. You know, how can I make this fun? What is the one thing that I can do for myself? And it might be, you know, it took me years to get a red lipstick. It took somebody literally going and buying me and putting it on me before I would wear it. But it's fun to do it. Now
you're rocking the red lipstick?
Yeah, and now I'm rocking it. But, you know, I'm 50, for goodness sake, and I've been wearing it for 3 months. That took a huge amount of courage, but it was good fun when I got there. So, you know, something, it can be that simple.
Yeah. What are some things? So when you say mindset, Claire, changing your mindset, what do you first, I mean, I think reframing is one way. So if you don't feel good, or you don't, I mean, how can you reframe that? If you're like, I'm 20 pounds overweight, and I was just looking at the scale this morning, being very bitchy with it. I mean, how can you turn that around? Teach me, Claire.
I think she's frozen. Yeah, it's very simply, look at what you like. Write a list of, or not even write a list, just look at yourself in the mirror. The example that we were doing with Teresa a couple of weeks when we had Teresa on, looking in the mirror and, you know, and telling yourself what you do like about yourself, rather than, you know, everything you don't like. There you are, you're back again. You know, what do you like? Your boobs, you've got fab boobs. You said the other day you love your feet. You know, really.
Remember, we're on Facebook Live.
I'm not saying you've got to show us them, but you like them.
I'm not saying that. So I'm good. I'll be banned from practicing law and being on Facebook Live if I show my boobs today. Bad idea. Claire, she can show her. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, I mean, when you look at this, when I look at the scale and see how much I weigh, I immediately go into this, oh, you know, I mean, how can you, and because everybody, you know, you've got culture, you've got friends, you've got everybody talking about weight and body and looking at magazines, and then suddenly you see, you know, how much you weigh, and that, I mean, that can ruin a day.
So I think it's about, because this is all about your blueprint matching your reality, right? So at the moment you have this picture in your mind of what a sexy body looks like, what a good looking body looks like. So you've got all these prerequisites of it should be this size, it should be this shape, it should be this weight, it should be da 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 da. And if that doesn't match your current reality, that's when you're getting into the whole cycle of, I don't like my body, it's not good enough, I will feel sexy, or I will feel good looking, or whatever, when. So it starts with changing that blueprint, I think, because why would you live into a blueprint that's not serving you, that's actually just making you unhappy?
Right.
And who said that was how bodies were supposed to be anyway, right? When you look back over history, you see how during different time periods, different body shapes and sizes have been kind of honoured and loved and talked about. And the truth is, there is no right or wrong body shape or size. We're just brainwashed into thinking at the moment, at this point in history or in this point in time, it should be this size and this shape and this whatever, and it's all absolute BS. It's total rubbish. So it's about starting to see for yourself and starting to rewrite that blueprint for yourself of actually these things can also be, this is good looking. So I was really lucky in that I grew up in a family that were naturists, right? So I would go on holiday, I would go to places where people didn't wear clothes all the time. So from being a baby, I grew up seeing different shapes, different sizes, different bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
And that had a huge impact on me because all body shapes were normal. All sizes were just as beautiful as each other. Like, absolutely. And what makes a difference for me between someone who is sexy or not sexy is the confidence. Like, it's down to their confidence. It has nothing to do with size. It has nothing to do with shape. It has nothing to do with weight. And so I think it's really important to just recognize that that blueprint that you've got in your mind is the thing that's making you unhappy. Start to rewrite that. Start to find evidence. So when you can look at other people and you think, God, yeah, like that person is sexy, that body is beautiful, and rewrite that. So I think that's the first thing. And then I think the second thing is, it's a relationship that you've got with your body. And just like if you're in a healthy, loving relationship, you know there's good things about that person and not so good things about that person, right? But you love them anyway because you recognize it comes as a whole package. And I don't think it's about pretending to ourselves or faking that we love a part of ourselves that we don't like. It's just like, actually, the overall package is amazing. I love the overall package. I particularly like this and this and this and this, you know, like I love my boobs and I love my this and I love my that. But, you know, maybe my bum I don't like so much because I would prefer it to be a bit smaller. But you know what? It comes as part of the package, so I can love it anyway. Because we accept those flaws in partners. Like when we're in love, the things that are not so great about them we can ignore easily. Why can't we just do that about our body and focus on the bits that are fabulous?
And we judge, Allison, I know, I especially know because I deal with people when they're at the next stage, is that there's so much judgment when you're having marital problems, when you're before the divorce, or when you're dealing with a divorce, or you're not in an unhappy relationship. There comes a lot of judgment, and you start to think, or at least question, is it because I'm not attractive anymore? I hear that so many times, and it always makes me so sad. And I judge myself really harshly, but when I see my clients and they're like, it's because I'm not attractive anymore. And it makes me so sad for them because I see them differently, you know.
Absolutely.
I judge myself harshly. Do you see that as an issue too, Allison?
Well, I think the thing is, when you feel you're not attractive, you're not attractive. Whatever you're giving out is what other people pick up, isn't it? So when you feel, you know, so I can walk down the street today with my shoulders hunched over, looking at my feet, and everyone will look at me and won't notice that I exist. Or I can go out, put my shoulders back, hold my head high, and people will notice, look, smile, say hello at me, because that's what I'm giving out. So it's nothing to do, you don't change.
Right. It's our perception that changes.
It's our perception of ourselves and therefore perception from other people. And all it takes is that little bit of self-work, self-worth, self-love to put your shoulders back and change everything again. I love, I could listen to you all day, Claire. I love what you said about, you know, being able to accept the bits of you that you don't like. That's a really difficult thing. I could never get that. I was always trying to, you know, really focus on the bits that I did like rather than and ignore what I didn't like. But I like the fact that I can look at the whole package.
Yeah, and I think that's what people do, right? Because I've spoken to so many people who are like, I can't look at myself in a mirror. You know, I get changed and I make sure I don't do it where there's a mirror because I just don't want to look because I don't like what I see and it pulls me down and I get in this whole cycle. And it's like, stop. That's not going to help anyone, right? It's really important to look at it. It's really like taking away the judgment almost from a third person's perspective. Can you look at your body almost, if it's some kind of alien from outer space who's come down and kind of gone, this is a human body, let's like have a look at this. So without all of the, especially if you're currently in a place of like really negative emotion around your body, like step out of that and look at it objectively. So actually, when you look at that body, what's amazing about it? What's fabulous about it? What brilliant things has it allowed that person to do? What things can you see that you go, actually, like, that's really interesting and that's pretty awesome and like, wow, what's that? And, you know, kind of, and play with it from that point of view until you can gradually kind of start owning it from being in your body and looking at it from being in your body and kind of going, actually, you know, because most of the time it's not as bad as people imagine. It's a bit like, and I talk about this all the time, but it's a bit like that monster under the bed when you're a child. Like you imagine the monster under the bed and you freeze in your bed and you daren't move and you're like absolutely frozen. And the more you think about it and the stiller you stay, you almost daren't breathe, right? Because it becomes this big scary thing. But if the moment you had that thought, you just looked at it, it'd be like, yeah, actually, I'm stressing about nothing. There's nothing there. Right. And I think that's the same when people like start looking at their bodies, start like seeing themselves naked again, start like getting back in touch with their sexuality again. I think it's not as scary as people build it up to be.
Do you know the other thing, something that that I did with a couple of girlfriends, was we actually sat down and we told each other what we liked about each other, which parts of our bodies we liked. And these are, I live in Milan, so it's very much about it's body consciousness. It's a very body conscious city. And it was really interesting, parts of your body that you'd never considered, because everyone thinks, oh, your legs, your bum, your boobs. But, somebody said, I love the way that your shoulders sort of drape at the back. There are parts of our body that we're just not even aware of. And then suddenly you kind of feel, I don't mind wearing a halter neck, or I don't mind sort of, walking slightly jauntily along it, whatever. But, ask other people as well. You get a completely different perspective, which kind of, goes on from what you were saying, Claire.
Claire made us do an exercise in her group, and if you're watching today or watching later on, then I think this is a great exercise for everybody to try. Claire, tell us, it was so hard for me too, I have to say. It was one of the first exercises she asked us to do in her group, and I had such a difficult time, but it's really kind of what Alison's talking about. Can you tell everybody about that exercise, Claire?
Yeah, so it's just an exercise just around changing your focus, right? So it's just super, super simple in terms of, share with the group, or get clear on yourself, write it down, 10 things that you really love and appreciate and are in massive gratitude for about your body. But you have to be specific with it. So you can't just be like, I like my boobs and I like this and I like that. No, like you've got to get in the detail. You've got to be really clear about it. So, I love my boobs because they're little and pert and I don't need to worry about wearing a bra and they just look fabulous, whatever the weather. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So you need to be really specific about it and really own it and be like, I love this thing about myself because of this. Writing 10 things. And I think most people, it was fabulous seeing people do it in a group. And most people said, they did the first couple and then they were like, now what? But it was amazing. And I think it was also amazing, like reading through what different people notice about their bodies and what different people said. I mean, it was absolutely fascinating. And I think it's a great place to start because it's just that shift in focus. If you've been saying for a long, long time, all the things you don't like about your body, to shift it and suddenly focus on 10 things that you do like, that can be a huge shift and that can be really powerful, but super simple.
Yeah, I got about 4 and then I said, oh no, what am I going to write? And then I wrote a few more and I'm like, oh no, I still have 2 more. And I kept counting and being like, okay, that's 1 or 2. It was so difficult for me to think of 10 things, and it's time. And I think that, and I may, be speaking just for myself, but as we get older, we start thinking, oh, this is not as this is not as supple. My skin's not as supple anymore. I have these wrinkles, and we start picking ourselves apart rather than appreciating ourselves.
Do you know, I'm not sure that is even a case of getting older, because I look back now at pictures of myself and I remember being as harsh, in fact, much harsher then than I am with myself now. And I look at pictures of myself at 20, 21, and I was beautiful and my skin was amazing and I was slim and, I had everything going for myself, but I could tell you every single thing that was wrong with me, and there were lots. So, I think, whatever age we are, if we're in that place, we focus on what's not working.
Yeah. And if we do that, we often end up with partners or people in our lives who are also going to focus on things that are not working. And that's, the law of attraction piece. And so I have a lot of clients who come in and they say, oh, she makes fun of me because she says I have a belly, or, and they've gotten partners that say ugly things to them. They call me fat, or they call me a slob, or whatever. And I think it's important, and this is what Claire and Allison both teach, is that we have to love ourselves first, and but it is, I'm single. And so, but if I had somebody telling me you're fat, look, you look gross in your clothes, that would be even more difficult. So you just have to come back to, what about that, Claire? Do you have anything to say about somebody who may have heard a lot of negative talk around their body?
Well, I think if it's coming from someone else, like if you're in a relationship where that's coming from someone else, I think it's really important to examine that relationship quickly, because I can't imagine if someone loved you, how would they ever say something like that, really? And I think it's about respecting and loving yourself enough not to be in that position.
That's why I'm the divorce lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, they definitely need you, right?
But on the other side of that is the fact that we hear what we believe. So you can have a partner who's telling you 300 things that 300 positive affirmations, how beautiful, wonderful, fabulous you are, and that one thing that really, really hits home because it's the place that you fear most, or you judge yourself most, is the thing that you pick up on. So we've got to be really careful when we're talking about other people's opinion, or allowing other people to talk to us. It's what we hear rather than necessarily what they're saying. And I'm saying that as somebody that was in that position. I could only hear the negative. I couldn't hear the positive until I was doing the positive for myself.
And also, if you're the person that is, so I'll tell a story. I had a woman that came into my office, and she's a very successful woman, and she doesn't take care of herself, takes care of everybody else, right? She has a leadership position she's a government employee, but she's taking care of another family member. Her husband's an alcoholic. She's got a few kids, and she was really big, okay? Really, suffering from tons of health problems. And she was telling me some of the ugly things that her husband had said to her, but she was also telling me I look like shit, and she was going on and on and on. So if you keep putting it out, if you keep saying all these things, and then these people hear it, they're going to tell it back to you, right? I mean, because if that's what you're feeling, if that's what you're doing, so it really is our responsibility. I mean, it's our responsibility to first embody it, and we can't keep blaming other people for, it's our responsibility. It's not theirs to make us feel good about our body.
No. It starts inside us. It starts within us. It starts in our mindset, and it starts with. I think it starts with gratitude, right? Because that's a really easy place to start. It's really easy. Even if you look in a mirror and you currently really hate your body, you can still be in massive gratitude for what it allows you to do, because your body is what allows you to experience life. It's what allows you to experience pleasure and happiness. You can get around. So even if you hate the way your body looks, there's still a huge amount that you can feel grateful for. And so if you start with that and then just gradually inch it, then I think that's a really healthy place. And the other part of this is that I think once you start to really appreciate your body for everything that it can give you, and everything it can be, and everything that it can do, and everything that it allows you to feel and experience, I think then it's really easy to start taking really good care of it, because you feel like your body deserves it. Your body deserves to be to have like great nutrients put in it. Your body deserves to be looked after. Your body deserves to be exercised. Your body deserves to have all these beautiful, fabulous things done to it, because it's doing such an amazing job every single day. It's allowing you to live life. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, it becomes so much easier to do the right things for your body and for yourself from a really healthy point of view.
Right, because that takes it almost separates you from your body, because it is really difficult. And I remember when I started doing gratitude, I had to write 5 things each day that I was grateful for, and then one thing about me that I appreciated, my body or my mind or something that I appreciated, and that was so difficult. But if you can actually take that sort of separation and you see your body as a function, a functioning thing, and it's not that self-conscious part of you, that's really helpful. That's
and I think everybody can appreciate, even no matter how you feel about your body, what Claire just said. If you're alive, then it's letting you do something, even if you're wheelchair bound, or even if because I know there's some people that watch this show that are on disability and can't work, but even if you're even able to sit in the chair and watch us, right, then you're able to do something, and you can appreciate something about yourself. And that's what we all, often think about. No matter what place you're in, there's something you can appreciate. I mean, there's so much for us to be grateful for, and yet so many times we focus on those other parts, right? But I have to say that Claire, I mean, she really helped me. I was in a space of feeling really insecure, and just talking through going out of town with a new partner and feeling like, oh my God, I don't want him to see me in a bathing suit, or I don't want him to see, and Claire was so helpful in just doing this little bit of work, and so that's why if you're watching us, I want you to think about, it's not really that hard to do, but it can make such a huge difference in the way you feel about yourself. So if somebody was feeling like, let's just give like one tip. If they're feeling really insecure today about their body, and we're moving into summer, and and I think that's when I always begin to feel the most squeamish. Oh shit, why wasn't I dieting the last 6 months? What is it that we tell, that you can tell them one thing they can do today to feel better?
Oh, well, so we've already mentioned quite a few, right? So I want to do a different one, but I think there's been a number of things that we've mentioned already. So a different one might be that emotion is motion, right? So when our body's in motion, it creates motion. So if you're feeling down about your body, instead, like, pick yourself up, stand tall, do a sexy walk down the street, and see how quickly that changes how you feel. So even if you come out the front door, maybe you feel rubbish, maybe you're all kind of, don't see me world, I don't want to be noticed. If instead you just take a deep breath, stand up properly, do a little sexy walk down the road, and notice how quickly it can just shift you in a really simple way.
And I think that Allison says she's got the sexy walk down.
I've got it down. But for me, it's I'm not doing any running. For me, I can shift it with music. Put on some good music.
Yeah.
That immediately starts. You feel your body, even if you can't, like me, you can't dance. You've got no rhythm at all.
No.
You immediately start to feel something shift in your body, and it's so much easier to change your mind when your body's in movement. Exactly as you said. For me, one of the things is, living in Italy, we're used to being in bikinis, from this time of year onwards, at weekends, whatever, we're at the beach. So I'm so used to seeing women of all shapes and size enjoying being out, being free, and showing themselves off, not necessarily, but just being out in the bikini and walking about. And, I'm talking women from 15 to 80. Yeah, and nobody judges. There's that thing, because it's just part of the culture. Nobody judges it, and for me, it was really helpful. I come from the UK, like Claire, and we're used to putting it on for 2 weeks a year, and you spend the other 50 weeks worrying about putting it on. Here, it's just.
That's great, and I have recently I've been to Europe a lot, and we were. At the beach recently, and I saw people of all shapes and sizes, and it does help. And I do think probably that's why Claire has a unique voice to help people appreciate their body and appreciate all parts of their body because of the way she was brought up. I think it's beautiful, because I think that I was brought up in the church, and there's a lot of shame around just around your body, sexuality, you know, just a lot of shame. It's a lot of shame-based.
Yeah.
In the Bible Belt about that kind of thing, and being, you know, being nature. I can't even imagine. My mother, I'm hoping she doesn't have Facebook, so it's a good thing. Here is your daughter talking about her boobs and being nude. The people at church are going to turn me in again at her church.
Yeah. And you know what? If anyone's like got that, like, oh, you know, like that would be really cool to try. You know, just walking around the house naked can be freeing. Going out into your garden naked can be so freeing if it's something that you don't do. It can feel a bit naughty, but it can also be really can feel really empowering if it's not something that you do. And there's a little part of you that's like, oh, I'd love to try that. Then I'd say go and try it. Start in your house. Try it in your garden. There are actually, like, in the UK, all over the place, swimming pools shut down on a regular basis and do naturist swims. Anyone can go to them. Like,
wow.
You know, it's so easy. So if there's a part of you that's like, oh, I'd like to try it, I'd say do it, because you'll find it massively empowering, massively freeing, and it's just an amazing experience to have, you know.
I like it. So everybody, it's time for us to go. But Claire, can you tell people where they can find you? Because I know everybody's going to want to learn more about you.
So I've opened up a new group, which is called Empress. So if you went to clairemacpherson.com/Empress, it would take you there. I've also got a Facebook page, which is just Claire Macpherson, and Macpherson is MAC, like do you remember the model, Elle Macpherson?
Yeah.
I've got a funny story about that, but now's not the time to tell it. So yeah, spelled the same way. So yeah, I'm on Facebook. I've got the new Empress Facebook group, which I'd love people to come and join if they want to continue the conversation. That'd be amazing.
That's awesome. And Alison, what about you?
What about me? You can find me in my Facebook group, which is Loved Again and Forever, and we take it from a slightly different approach. We're always looking at it from that self-love, so that's the sort of broader, not just the sexuality side of things. Or you can go and check me out on my website, alisonreiner.com, or of course here on PPC.
All right, everybody, and I'm Leigh, and you can find me right here in Huntsville, Alabama. So thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, Alison. That was really fun. I wish I didn't have to go to work or just walk around naked.
Don't do that.
I don't think they would like that in the law so much, but, you know, anyway, it was really fun. I really enjoyed you being here with us, Claire. And next time you'll have to come back and talk about sexuality.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Have a good week.